Hi everyone, welcome back to our third and final video for operations with polynomials. Today we're going to be dividing a polynomial by another. I put long division because there are two ways to divide these. This is definitely the longer of the two, but this works every time. So I'll probably make another video where we do synthetic division, but long division is useful and you can use it anytime. Okay, so we've got a few steps to follow, like we have been doing in the past videos, but we are using some words that you guys probably haven't seen in a while, so just quickly, I want to review. You'll see the word dividend, divisor, and quotient in some of these. So quickly, before I do the work, I'm going to remind us all that we've got our dividend under our fraction, our division bar. We've got our divisor on the outside, and then our quotient is our answer, right? So when we divide something by another number, we get a quotient. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm actually going to put a sticky note right here to do my work on, just so I make sure I have enough room. And I'm actually just going to kind of move it over. If you print this out, you'll have enough room to work this out, but I just want to make sure I don't run off the page because I'm going to be writing a little bigger for you guys. Okay, so we've got our problem right here. We've got this long four-term polynomial divided by, and then this binomial right here. Okay, so my first step is to write the polynomials without missing powers in the division bar. So first what that means is I'm going to get my problem started. So I'm going to write my division bar. Let me zoom in just a little. And then I'm going to write my polynomial without missing powers. I'll talk about what that means in just a moment. So first I'm going to write n plus 3 on the outside. And then I've got my long polynomial on the inside. Minus 17n plus 7. I'm going to make sure I leave room for my quotient up here. And it says without missing powers. That means you want to make sure your dividend has, starting with the highest power, every one that goes after that. So I've got an n to the third, so I want to make sure I have an n squared, an n to the first, and an n to the 0 power. If I don't, which we will see in the problem after this, we have to fill that in with a space holder. Okay, so let's get started on our steps. The first step, and I'm going to color code like I always do, is to divide the first term of the dividend by the first term of the divisor. So I'm going to take this number or value and divide by this one. This is the same step as when we do regular long division. Okay, so I'm going to underline that in green so I know when I divide this term, n to the third, divided by this term, n, I'm going to get n squared, and that's what I'm going to write up here, n squared. You guys didn't see what I wrote that. So I did n to the third divided by n. You can also write it this way if that makes more sense to you. But both just mean to divide. So that's my first step, and you write what you get up top. My next step is to multiply that quotient by all terms of the divisor. So multiply in purple. We're going to take this quotient right here, and we're going to multiply by both terms here since I have two. So the first one is n squared times n. That gives me n to the third. And then my second one is n squared times 3. And that gives me 3n squared. Okay. My next step is to subtract the entire product, so this and this, from the terms before. Okay, so I'm going to write what I got as my products. I got n to the third, and I got positive 3n. And this step says to subtract this entire product from the terms before it. Use parentheses. I cannot stress this enough. This is typically where I see the most amount of mistakes. So this should, your alarm should be going off. Pay attention to this. When I subtract, I use parentheses every single time. Okay, that tells me I'm subtracting this entire piece right here. So when I do n to the third minus n to the third, that gives me 0. And then when I do negative 3n squared, that should say squared right there, sorry guys, minus 3n squared, that's negative 6n squared. Notice if I hadn't put parentheses, I would have done that incorrectly. Then my last step, just like with regular long division, is to bring down and repeat. So in blue, I'm going to bring down this negative 17n, and I'm going to repeat everything over again. So I'm not going to go back to these right here, but let's just remember in my head, we're going to divide, multiply, subtract, bring down, just like with regular long division. I'm going to use my colors still though, so that you can see which one I'm doing at that time. Okay, so first step, we're repeating. Divide. So I'm going to take the first term of the dividend and divide by the first term of the divisor. So that is negative 6n. If you want to see that work, I did negative 6n squared over n. That gives me negative 6n. Okay, so I wrote my quotient up top. The next step is to multiply. So I'm going to take this term and I'm going to multiply by both of these. When I multiply by n, I get negative 6n squared. And when I multiply it by 3, I get negative 18n. My last step of those three is to subtract. Don't forget your parentheses. And we'll see what we get. Okay, so I've got, write my bar in yellow just so I'm staying consistent. These are going to cancel, so I have 0. And then when I do negative 17n plus 18n, that's going to give me positive 1n. And last step is to bring down and repeat. Okay, so we've got to do this one more time. I've got this number or value divided by this one. N divided by n is just 1. Then I need to multiply, so I'm going to take this value and multiply by both of these. So 1 times n is 1n, 1 times 3 is 3. Then I need to subtract, don't forget your parentheses, and see what we get. These are going to cancel, and this is going to give me positive 4. Nothing else to bring down. So what you need to ask yourself is, can you divide this value by the first term here? I mean, I can write that 4 divided by n, but I'm not going to have a value to put here, okay? Because I no longer have the n. When this power is less than this one, then we are done. This is n to the 0 power, this is n to the first. So we are done. What this does mean though is I have a remainder. So let's look at our steps. The last step is to write the remainder as the last value over the number over the, I'm making sure that I'm writing this right. Write the remainder as the last value or number over the original divisor. Okay, so I'm going to write my answer, n squared minus 6n plus 1. Write it right here. N squared minus 6n plus 1. And then using this, you're going to write that last value or number, which is 4, over the original divisor. So you're going to do plus 4. And then our original divisor was n plus 3. Okay, you could also just write like remainder 4, but this is the proper way to write it if you don't want to write remainder. So you've got n squared minus 6n plus 1 plus this remainder. So if someone were to ask you, what is this value divided by this value? Well, you could tell them. The answer is this polynomial plus this remainder. So you have just divided one polynomial by the other. Okay, so now that we have those steps, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so you can see those one more time. We're going to do a problem where there is a missing power. So I will set it up just like before. I'm not going to use all my colors this time. And we will see how to fill in or put that placeholder. So let's zoom into this problem. Let's find where that missing power is. Okay, so let's set up our division bar. I know some people make this a little more curved. I just like a straight division bar. We're going to start writing our dividend. 9p to the third plus ap squared. Ooh, I'm noticing I don't have a p to the first power. So what I'm going to do is put a placeholder, 0p to the first. You could write the 1 if you want, minus 4. That 4 is right there. So this is going to be a placeholder. This will become more apparent why we write this when we're doing our work, but just know you do have to write a placeholder here. It will mess up your steps if you don't. Okay, and then we're going to write our divisor out here, 9p plus 2, and we're going to get started just like before. Let's use our purple. Okay, first up, divide. I'm going to divide this term by this one. That gives me p squared. I'm going to multiply by both of these terms. So I get 9p third plus 2p squared. I'm going to subtract. Don't forget your parentheses. And that gives me, that should say 83, guys. So this is 81p squared. Bring down and repeat. So now notice, when I get values down here, I'm going to have something to subtract from, okay? All right, so next up, repeat. Take this term, divide by this one. That gives me 9p. Multiply by both. So this is 81p squared. And this is 18p. Subtract, don't forget your parentheses. I get 0, and then I get negative 18p. Bring down and repeat. Last round. Okay, so divide by 9p. Notice this power is not less than this one, so we can keep going. This is going to give me negative 2. Multiply, so multiply by both. And subtract. Don't forget your parentheses. Notice here when I subtract both of these terms, these are both going to cancel. So in this example, we do not have a remainder. So that means this divisor right here, this polynomial, is in fact a factor of this polynomial. So when we write our answer, when I say this polynomial divided by this one, we just get to write this answer right here, no remainder. Just like that. Okay, thanks for watching, guys. And you can get started on your practice if you're practicing some more dividing polynomials by other polynomials.